Okay, so today we're going to talk about collaboration. This has been a topic that I have avoided for at least 2-3 years, because if you want to get people stirred up and hear a lot of negative comments, all you need to do is go out amongst the public that uses FamilySearch and bring up the topic of the tree being an open source collaborative effort, and all heck can break loose. And so this is a topic that can end up with a lot of controversy amongst some people. We're going to try to approach it from a positive point of view and try to explain why FamilySearch does what they do, and hopefully show you that it can be done in a positive way. Okay, so what we're going to talk about tonight is collaboration on FamilySearch, and we're going to cover 3 topics. We're going to talk about why collaboration works and the different collaboration tools that are on FamilySearch, and some of these might surprise you. You might not consider them at first thought as collaboration tools, but they are or can be used for that. And then talk a little bit about effective collaboration. Okay, so what is collaboration? That's a big word. And in this case, FamilySearch sees it as an effort of all the users of tree working together to improve the quality of the tree as they strive to make the tree more accurate and complete. And you have to understand that tree is a wiki. And most of the problems that we have come from the fact that some users do not understand this. They have never been told or had it explained to them, or they just simply don't want to accept the fact that the way this is structured is a wiki. The wiki, just like Wikipedia, Genie.com, WikiTree, there's places on the web where there are wikis, which are essentially user-created and grown tools that are out there. And so that's what Tree is designed to be. It is a wiki. And the way a wiki grows is by having the people that use it collaborate and work and add things to it so that it can grow. And over time, I truly believe this has helped Tree to become more accurate. Now, I've been with FamilySearch online since the days that they opened up new .FamilySearch up till the present day. And I have seen that the tree has become more accurate. Not less accurate, but much more accurate. It's less unstable. I wish I could say, and it is stable, but it really isn't, because there are still ways to go. There are still places in tree where there's instability, a lot of arguing and complaining over what's right and what's wrong. But that kind of stuff has shrunk and become a smaller and smaller portion of the tree as time has gone on, as people have come and learned to work together and tried to create an acceptable tree. Now, there are some things that make people not want to collaborate. And the biggest one is this disease that's out there called mytree-itis. And you can usually tell the people that don't understand what FamilySearch is all about when they start a conversation off with, well, I put my tree in, and then all these people have been adding things, and who gave them the right to add stuff to my tree? And right then and there, you know that the person does not understand the basis of FamilySearch and tree. And so these people will have an issue. We have to try to teach them what really is going on and hope that they will embrace that. And then we have some people who have spent a lot of time and often a lot of money putting their tree together, And they just don't want to put it in an environment where the data can get changed. And all that work that they put could be made to naught by somebody making a change in their tree. And so that's a legitimate issue for some people. Again, based on the fact that they probably don't fully understand what collaboration is all about. And then there's other people who simply don't want to have to make corrections. They want to just do research. And they don't like the idea that they have to stop periodically and fix something that somebody else messed up. And and I've come to the conclusion, I don't know if FamilySearch probably wouldn't be happy with me saying this, but I'll say it anyway. For some people, this simply isn't the place for them. There are some people that just don't want to play together. They want to do it on their own, and they want total control. And if that's the case, there's a lot of other places you can go on the web, or you can just work off of your own computer and create that environment that you like. And so rather than try to force everybody to use this, even those that don't like it, sometimes I think it might be wiser just to say, hey, go somewhere else. It's okay. We're not trying to, you don't have to use FamilySearch. And so, that is a valid way to look at the situation, that some people just aren't made for this. Okay, there is a price to pay for collaboration. We have to accept that. You can't just focus on your research. If you're going to collaborate, you've got to look out beyond your research a little. You need to watch your ancestry for changes. Now, I said there, watch your ancestry. We ought to qualify what ancestry means there. You would go insane if you tried to watch every ancestor of yours in FamilySearch. There's just not enough hours in the day to check out every line and every person on every line to make sure everything stays just so. You'll need to kind of qualify that and decide what part of your ancestry you're concerned with. I would be concerned with the people closest to me going back maybe 4 or 5 generations. And in my case, 2 or 3 lines in my tree, my Givens family, my Sands family, my Carter family. Those would probably be the 3 lines that I would watch. And the rest of my ancestry, I'm not really going to pay close attention to all the time. Because, hey, I do want to do some research. Okay, you're going to need to be willing to reach out to others who make questionable changes, or for whatever reason, you're going to want to reach out. And that might be hard for some people that are shy, and reserved, but that's how collaboration works, is by reaching out. You may need to mentor some users. I tell you, I've had some places in my tree where there's major problems. And the smartest thing I've ever done is I've worked with 3 different users who at first were doing things that were just totally messing our tree up. So I had to educate them about why what they were putting in there wasn't accurate. And then I started teaching them about how tree works. And today, those 3 people are 3 of my favorite friends on tree, and they've taken over those parts of my tree where there's been issues with a lot of people putting false things in because it's in historical genealogies and stuff like that, but it's inaccurate. And they're the ones that police those areas now and help keep it straight and help train new people. And so it can really be a positive thing if you, after reaching out, if you mentor people and they catch on to how things can be done to help keep the tree clean, they can become the people that are the tree keepers. And if nothing else, you've got to learn patience and try not to get frustrated, because there'll be plenty of opportunities for that to happen. And a lot of opportunities for you to take a deep breath and count to 10. Okay, So why collaborate? We focus too much on the negatives. Sometimes they're there. Someone's messed up your pedigree. But, sometimes they've added information you've never heard of before. And you want to find out from them if they have any more goodies or where they got it or, any other suggestions they have. Or maybe there's some new memories, new pictures that you've never seen before, and you'd like to know if there's any more. So that's another reason to collaborate. Sometimes a person will pop up that's a cousin, and you can see how they're related to you, and you might say, gee, I never even knew about this person. And so there's another way to meet a new cousin. Sometimes you'll find somebody that's working on one of those dead-end ancestors, and they might be starting to make some headway. And this is definitely a person you're going to want to contact and see if you can work together or if they have any information they haven't posted yet. And sometimes you might just want to know how someone's related to you because it doesn't show their relationship. Or you might have information that would help them. So there's a lot of different ways why to collaborate. And it doesn't have to just be negative. Unfortunately, most of the time what we do is we're focusing on negative situations and needing to collaborate there. Well, there's plenty of positive ways to collaborate. Okay, so let's talk about some of the tools. Some of this will be obvious tools that I'm sure you've already kind of guessed we're going to cover, and I might find a thing or two that you might not have even thought about. Okay, well, the obvious and most upfront technique that FamilySearch has for us is their collaboration link on the person page. The negative thing with this is the fact that it's just that one little word there, and it doesn't show up very well, and it doesn't really stand out, and so I don't think it's used near as much as it should. Collaboration involves two different things: notes and discussions. And like I said, I don't think either one of them are used very much, and I don't think a lot of people pay attention to them. The notes have a feature to them that we need to understand. That is that if you put a note in, anybody can go in and edit your note, or they can even delete your note. So if you're going to put anything profound or anything extensive in a note on somebody, I would keep a little digital file, just a Word doc or something, where you put the name of the person that you're putting the note on and copy and paste that note into that document so you have it, so that if that note disappears, you have a way to get it back in there. I'm not sure you can restore it through the latest changes feature or not. I think it'd just be smart to have a backup of your notes, since others can delete them. The other type of feature that they have besides notes about this person are discussions. Notes would be more factual stuff. Discussions would be where you could discuss the relationships or misunderstandings that people have about this person or things like that. And this is probably the one that's least used of the two. And the good feature on this is that only you can delete your discussion, and only you can edit your discussion. So people can't delete out your discussion. So that's good. Where the notes can disappear, the discussions will stay. They're a little bit harder to follow, so they're not as favorable to the public maybe as some of the other things are. Okay, another way to collaborate is by going anywhere in Tree where people leave their footprint. And when they leave their footprint, what they do is they leave a link, a blue link that I've kind of blotted out over here in a change list, that have links to the people that have done different things in Tree. They may have edited a name, they may have added a date, they may have put a source in, or added a memory, or created a new person, or whatever. And every time they leave their footprint, you can go click on that. And that's going to pull up information about them, including a link that will allow you to message them, and possibly, if they allow it to be public, a link to their email so that you have a way to contact them. So you'll be able to contact them. That doesn't mean they're going to respond. That's the trouble with collaboration. It's a two-way street. And I would hope that you wouldn't be one of those people that when you're contacted, you don't respond, because that's probably the most frustrating thing that can happen. Just remember that anytime you see a person's username in blue on a page, that's a hot link. And no matter where it's found, changelog, sources, details, memories, notes, discussions, wherever, you can click on them to see more about them and learn how to contact them. Now, following is another thing. This is a feature that is set up so that you can track people in your pedigree that you want to know when changes are made. And every person page has a link that will say follow. If you click on it, it'll turn to unfollow. If you see unfollow, that means you have clicked following on this person. What this allows is that you will, if you've set it up in your what's the term I'm looking for? In your settings, if you've set it up in your settings to receive notifications, you will get a notice once a week that somebody has made a change to any of the people that you have marked as a person to follow. And that by any change, I mean, it could be a change about their name, their vital records, relationships. Any change that affects that record will trigger this. Now, eventually, FamilySearch is thinking of moving this notification thing to, if you want it, to be the day that it happens, so that you get almost immediate notice. And for some of us, that might be a valuable thing, because even waiting a week sometimes can cause a lot of problems to pop up. They compound as after the first mistake or the first problem was created. Okay, and if there is a page in FamilySearch, if you go to the tree and you click on where tree is and look at the drop down, in that drop down there is following. And if you click on that, it will give you a list of the people you're following that have changes that have been made. And so in this case, Sarah Cathy's one of my direct ancestors. She has had some 13 changes made recently. And one of them is this here. I would need to click on the 13 changes to see all of them. But I know that there was a child relationship changed, and it was done by the person who I'm trying to keep hidden there. That person did that change. And if I click on 13 changes, I'll see all the others that were done about her. That's kind of unusual now. I've noticed that the people that I have followed and that I follow up on when they make changes, after a while, the number of changes tend to drop. You still have a new patron come along periodically that'll go back in and make some of those same changes that were made before by others that weren't correct. And you need to fix them again and talk to this new person again. But overall, the number of changes tends to fall. Okay, so this is found under following, when you look at the tree link. Anytime you're in tree, you'll have these links across the top, and following is one of them. Now, there's some suggestions I would give you for it. One is don't get carried away, and especially start out slowly. You don't want to follow 5,000 people. The list will get so laborious, it'll drive you insane. So you want to pick and choose a little bit. I would primarily focus on ancestors, and I would start maybe with only the close ones. It is interesting how many people report on their parents and grandparents and great-grandparents having a lot of issues. Well, those are the people you most want to follow, because you don't want that part of your tree to get messed up, because you know that part the best. And a change there can affect a huge portion of your personal pedigree. And so you really don't want to let that part of your tree get out of hand. So, begin with the close relatives and then focus on hotspots. I have some hotspots. These are places in the tree where either somebody wants to change the parents, or they have some big issues in that area, probably usually because of something that was published many, many years ago, and it's just not accurate. And you need to keep an eye on that, because otherwise, sooner or later, somebody that's got great-grandma's papers are going to want to change it to match great-grandma's stuff, even though we proved 50 years ago that great-grandma had it wrong. So you really want to focus in on those hotspots and make sure those people are being followed. And what you really don't want to do is click on people that are back in the early 1700s and beyond, going back in time, and follow them, because what you're going to find is there will be dozens and dozens of changes every week to those records. There's just too many hands in the pot, too many differing opinions, and it's something that eventually will get sorted out, but it's going to take time. And really, for your own sanity, I would just leave those people pretty much alone. The only exception I make to that is my Carter ancestry, because I've written a book on that family. I have tons of the original records. I follow them back to the immigrant in 1640. But I don't do that in most any other lines, because it can just become too challenging. That's where most of the big issues in tree are anymore, is in the 1600s and on back. And my rule of thumb would be, if a change to a person would upset you, then that's a person you want to follow. If they make a change to a person, you say, oh, okay, I guess we'll have to get around to fixing that eventually. That may not be a person you need to follow. But if you see a change to somebody and it lights you up, then yes, that's probably the person you're going to want to follow. Okay, messaging to me is the real heart of collaboration. I wondered at first what the real point of messaging was for, and I think I've discovered what it is. It's so we can collaborate easier. Okay, so based on that contact information that you'll find on people, you'll be able to often see their email, or at least always be given a chance to message them, and sometimes both, when you click on their name to see what you can find out about them. My experience is emails tend to get a lot better response. So I would pick emails over messaging. Both of them work, but I believe emails get a better response rate than straight messages go. And then to help make sure the system works well, you've got to be a good responder. So please respond when people contact you. And when you click on a person's name, this is what shows up down in the bottom right corner. You'll see what their username is. you'll see a blue box that says message. That will always be there. And you'll be able to, almost always, I think you can actually turn that off, but that's a feature almost everybody has. You can message them. You'll be able to see how they're related if that feature's been turned on. This person, Brian, appears to be my 8th cousin twice removed. I can add him as a contact to me, which would help in collaborating with him. And then where the green box is down there that I've covered up part of his email address, he's provided his email. So I have the choice here of getting to Brian by either emailing him or sending him a message. So it's really a very nice setup. Now, when you click on a message, this is what shows up. Now, I obviously clicked on Patricia's name and then clicked message, and it set up a message. It doesn't tell me how it's going to get to her. It just says it will. And I can use this for whatever I want. The system says, okay, you were on George Wilhelm Rule's page when you clicked on Patricia's name. So it's going to fill that in under the About area. If I don't want that there, I can just erase it and leave About blank if I want. I can put a subject in. I might say concerning George's new death date that you posted or something like that. And then I could put a message in here, and then I could click send. And it will be sent to Patricia, and hopefully I will get it back, a reply, and it will show up in the little message icon in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, where a little red 1 will pop up on that, telling me that I've got a message. And so it's really a nice little system. Now, another way to collaborate, which is fairly new that you might not have even thought about, are the new family groups that FamilySearch has set up. Now, the term family groups is a little bit of a misnomer. As you can see, I have one that has some Family History Center contacts. I have another one that's a true family group, my children and I and a few other people. And I have one for I'm in Orchard View Ward, and so I have an Orchard View Ward group with a few people from our ward. You could create a, quote, family group for a bunch of researchers on a certain line, or a group of cousins that all are descended from the same person, or however you want to do it. You can create these groups to fit whatever you need. And this would be a great way to collaborate, because when you're within that group, you can send messages to the whole group. You can post things to them. You can post images and things like that to them that could be of value to the group. So think of groups when it comes to collaborating as a way that you might be able to marshal a certain group of people together to work together in a more cooperative environment. Another one that's just come out recently, and I really haven't experimented with this much, is Friends. And you'll find this when you turn on the new home page for FamilySearch in the center column. It allows you to communicate with your friends. That center column that now on the traditional page just shows you things that people have posted as memories for your relatives. That can be now kind of tailored to whatever you want to have in there. And you can use that area to communicate with people that you have identified as friends. And so you can identify people as friends, and you can then make lists of them. You could have a list of my Sands researchers or my Carter cousins, and not have them necessarily in a family group, but just have them as a group of friends there on your homepage. And if they use their homepage, they would be able to see this same group of friends too. And so this is yet another way to collaborate that maybe you hadn't thought about before, because this is such a new feature in FamilySearch, and I really haven't seen much talked about it yet. Okay, to be a good collaborator, that's the last thing we need to talk about. This is really, tree's a massive effort. And if we ever want it to be complete and accurate, we're going to have to be good collaborators, and it's got to start with ourselves. And we can't do it by ourselves, though. We need to have everybody else, but it starts with us. Okay, and if nothing else, always, always try to treat other people the way you would want to be treated. The golden rules got to be the thing that we operate under. And you need to try to focus on the people in tree, not the person that you're communicating with. In other words, if the whole communication becomes a, you did this, you did that, you're wrong, and this sort of thing, you're not going to really get through to the person very well. You're going to tick them off. You need to talk more about the person and tree that was affected by what went on, not by the other patron. And doing that, that will help keep down the amount of anger and harsh words that get traded. Okay, now some of the things I've thought about to be sure your communications are based on fact, not guesswork, your contributions. That's one thing. If you're going to do this, you need to be sure that the things you put in tree are accurate as possible. You're not going to use the tree to be a sandbox, as they call it, a place where you just put possible ideas in. You're not going to use the tree to experiment. Okay, because that's what some people are doing. That's what causes a lot of the problems. You're going to want to attach accurate sources and update a record where these sources are attached. And remember that sometimes when we attach the source, it doesn't change the record of the person, and that needs to be changed separately sometimes. Also provide reasons for why you put sources in, provide reasons why adding this person as the mother is not really the right thing to do. Try to add good reason statements and make them clear and concise. Put things under the collaboration tab or in a document in the memories for the person, wherever you can put stuff. And you can always try to communicate with respect. Always respond to the comments sent to you. Assume that others have a good intent. There may be a few bad actors out there, but there really aren't many. Most people are trying to do what's right. They just don't get it sometimes. Maybe they haven't had a lot of experience. Okay, try to focus on facts. Don't make things personal. Again, practice the golden rule. If things get hot, take time to cool down. Don't write right back. Wait a day or two. Get your temper under control before you say something you're going to regret. And try to mentor these new people and help them to learn the ropes, to understand what we're doing and why we do it. Okay, now, a lot of people have said that, well, when somebody's putting in the wrong people in my tree, that's abuse. And it's not really. There is a tab on every person's page that says report abuse. The first thing is look at what's there. The list of things for abuse include offensive wording, spam or advertising, political statements, inappropriate statements. Those are what FamilySearch considers to be abuse. What don't you see there? You don't see discussion about what's the correct relative in tree. That's not addressed there. In fact, they'd say to us, you need to look at the conditions of use. There's a link up there for conditions of use. If I've gone in and read the conditions of use, and it talks about abuse, but it never addresses disputes over what's right in tree. That's not there. We have to understand that. Okay, now you may reach a point though with somebody where you ask them to change things right, because here's all the reasons. I've got 18 sources that prove that this is the right way to do it, and yet you're changing it to something else. And you ask them to fix it and they won't fix it, so you fix it. And they go back in and change it again, and you write to them again and they won't respond to you. And then you're really frustrated. At that point, you could try clicking other, explain all this to FamilySearch and send it in. I guarantee you, if you do this, though, they are going to expect that you have, and I put it in red down here, contacted the person personally. Now, don't just say you did when you didn't, because if you did it within FamilySearch, like through messaging, they can see the messages for that person. They can see what's been sent to that person. They can see what you've sent and what you've received. Okay, so don't just say, yeah, I did it when you didn't. They wouldn't be able to see your emails, but if you did it within FamilySearch, they would. Make sure that when you've talked to the person, you've explained the problem and you try not to be confrontational. I was following a thread recently where a lady did just that. She was complaining about people making changes, and she was very confrontational and very abusive to them. Yet she sent in the complaint because they wouldn't change things. She got herself shut down on FamilySearch. They took away her ability to make any changes in tree because of what she was doing, and she was the person complaining. So, you got to be a little bit careful. Sometimes, the person that's the problem is the person that is complaining for a solution. Okay, try to share the solution with the person, try to seek agreement, and then if they won't respond or don't respond appropriately, or they respond inappropriately, then report it as abuse. And FamilySearch might do something. That's the operative word. They might just say, you need to keep trying to collaborate. That's usually what I've seen. Occasionally, they will go in, contact the other person and fix it themselves or try to resolve the issue. But that's the exception to the rule. Okay, so in summary, remember what the goals of collaboration are. It's to reduce duplication in tree. It's to help divide the labor, because as we collaborate, we don't have that feeling that we have to do it all ourselves. So more can get done with less effort by you. Ultimately, it will improve the accuracy of the data. You just have to stick with the program and you'll see the changes over time. And in the end, it's going to help them to preserve that work that you have done. Now, when I did this, I came across 3 excellent presentations. I don't normally cite other people's work here, but I want to do this here. These are all people I know personally. Carol's a dear friend of mine. She has a short little YouTube class on how to collaborate. It's like 5 minutes long. Catherine did a BYU presentation on collaboration, and so did James Tanner. And so they have some excellent, nice, long presentations with a lot of ideas. And I've tried to summarize a lot of those and make it a shorter presentation. So that's my presentation. Do we have any questions?